Welcome back to the Maximum Cricket Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Hunter, and this is episode number 9. 9 is the appropriate number this week as it's the standard run rate from the England Test team right now. How can a team not pass 300 for 17 tests suddenly want to chase 450 plus just to see how they go? What the hell is happening? Well, I've got my mate from the UK, Luke Skade, to discuss baseball and how it's happening and how it's sweeping the nation. Next, the boys are back with Is This Cricket as Jacko poses a question to myself and Lugsy regarding coordinating kit. We also have Coach Corner and much more, so stick around, like, subscribe, rate us, review us, and if you want a little bit more of us, check out patreon.com/maximumcricket for more. But for now, let's get into the show.
Yes, Bank Maximum, the first of this contest. Oh, that is brilliant. It's a hero maximum. On the ground, down the ground, another hero maximum.
Welcoming onto the pod for the first time is my good friend Luke Skade. Now, I played with Skade for 2 seasons in the UK back in 2015 and 2016. English cricket certainly has changed a lot in that time. Back then, they were a laughingstock in white ball cricket and maybe not a laughingstock in test cricket. Since then, they've won a World Cup and now are basically playing white ball cricket with white clothing. So I thought I wanted to hear from an English fan during this baseball era. First of all, Skady, how are you, mate?
Tired, but excited to be on here with you, mate.
Was it a big night celebrating a famous victory, was it?
No, I've just got to get up really early with this silly time difference.
Yeah, makes it tough. So I do appreciate you coming in. Do appreciate you popping on. And it's always good to hear from you.
It's a lot more worth it to get up at this time to talk about cricket than it was to getting up at this time watching us when we were in Australia. I tell you.
Well, it's a good segue because I did want to wind back the clock before baseball. So times before Brendan McCullum, before Stokes. Let's look back at it. Joe Root's still the captain. Chris Silverwood, and then a bit of Collingwood. The Test team had won 1 Test in 17. They were smoked in Australia, humbled by the West Indies. What was an English fan's perspective of the Test team at that time?
It just wasn't very enjoyable or likable.
It didn't look like anyone was having fun. It didn't look like anyone was enjoying watching them.
A lot less people would have been watching them as well. Because it just seemed a weird environment and it seemed really cliquey. Obviously, I think that kind of came across when Broad and Anderson went as well, because I can't imagine there'd have been too many people in that team environment that would have felt we'll be so much better if Broad and Anderson aren't here. Yeah,
that was a weird one that's sort of been swept under the carpet now, but it's a good point. It sort of all came to a head. That West Indies tour where they stripped back it was like they were the problem, but really there was obviously more issues.
Yeah, it'd be interesting that sums up some of the selection calls, because it's just they're just going off and doing their own thing. You could see even our level of cricket can just see that that's a terrible idea. So you've got to think the players playing in that team are probably a little bit deflated as well. If you take your best player or people that have been so successful for so long, you know what it's like to just have characters like that around the dressing room. That on its own adds its own sort of element of worthwhileness, I guess.
Well, that's strange. That's it. They're sort of, and now it's sort of embracing the differences, because it's the differences that make a team. It's crazy that just a mere few months, a change of captain, a change of coach. You got a team that couldn't make 300 in any innings, not even just the second innings, and now they've chased 300 odd 3 times, and now almost 400, and the team basically hasn't changed. I mean, we've got Stokes wishing that they could have chased 450 instead of 375, like it was easy. I can't imagine that being said 6 months ago, let alone bloody a year ago. So it's, how does a team like that change so quickly with the same team?
Oh, it's all mentality, isn't it? Stokes is just a winner. And Baz, what he used to have, never fear the air. I mean, Stokes, I think in the same interview where he says he kind of wishes they put on 450, the interviewer goes how did you think this was possible from sort of 24 hours ago, 48 hours ago? And he just goes, yep.
Well,
It's just so good to watch and be like, yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's amazing. Like, you got like Leach saying things like, oh, I don't know if it was Leach. It was like one of the two, but they were saying about, oh, we might not be the best team, but we'll be the braver team. Like, they're just basically uprooting everything, everything that we knew about cricket, and they're changing the mentality.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say I was ahead of the curve, but when we won the One Day World Cup, we were a terrible test team. We kind of half-heartedly did it with like putting Roy in there and stuff. But I just wanted to see like, right, you can chase 300 or 350 in 50 overs. Just go and try and knock it off in 50. Like, just bat properly and do what you're good at. Like, that's how the game's changed. Wonder if it'll affect county cricket as well. Is something that I was thinking about.
Well, I mean, Stokes did have that. What did he do at county cricket when he played for Durham? He hit like 34 off and over. Some poor bloke, some poor 18-year-old spinner just copped it.
Yeah, that was just after he became England captain as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a bit of a statement, wasn't it? And because like I remember before the series against New Zealand started, like obviously as a New Zealand fan, I was weary of Stokes and McCullum. In fact, I knew they'd be a little bit better. But I saw the squad and I was like, well, this team's the same team that only won one game in 17. So in my mind, I was like, we should win that series. And obviously I was completely wrong, but they can take, like, it just shows how much mentality how much a good mentality can change a group of players that go from an historically bad run to an historically good run in like a month. We've got Bairstow that averages like mid-30s, scoring 400s in 5 innings. It's like, and he looks like the best player that's ever lived.
Yeah, he hits the ball so hard.
Oh, it's great. He
played a pull shot yesterday just out of nowhere. I was like, wow. He was even quite tame in the 4th innings yesterday compared to what he's been. And
he actually was,
But it was still a fast test innings. It was like they've just set new levels for kind of what's expected. It's going to be interesting to see what we do when we're not chasing, because at the minute it's just like, yeah, we'll knock him off, and the Bazball really comes to fruition in the 4th innings, and the rest sort of just warms up and builds to it. So, what are we going to do when we're setting a total? Just keep going.
There's certain things that have gone, like, without poking the bubble too much. Like there's a few people that are saying like this is the best team ever, blah blah blah, and like I don't want to like I'm glad that people are enjoying the run because it's good cricket and it's been a tough sort of time. But obviously, like, there's going to be different tests. You've got the Duke's ball isn't doing what it normally does. They've kind of got like the perfect platform for this series. And then obviously when they go away, it's going to be a little bit different. I wonder if this would work overseas. I wonder if like when it's going to fall flat, because there's a lot of, and you must know that there's some sort of old heads around, some in the com box, some around the traps, that must be waiting for this to fail.
Yeah, I feel like anyone over the age of 40 is ready for this to fail. Well, it seems like a pretty definitive line of how like excited about it you are. I feel like it's interesting you mentioned when we go on tour, because I was chatting with one of my mates yesterday about this, and we were saying it's like getting a new missus. It's like everything's really exciting and fresh and new at first, but like a real big test, like what happens when you go on holiday together and it's just you two for a long time? How are we going to go down then?
Well, that's going to be the biggest challenge, isn't it? Because it's probably going to be like that. They go overseas, maybe they lose, maybe they.
Where are we next? Are we New Zealand?
You've got what, 3 tests against South Africa. You're going to Pakistan, aren't you? And they're like I don't know if you watch much of the Australian tour there, but basically everyone scored runs. So Bairstow might honestly end this year with like 15 tons in 1 year. He's got 6 tons in like 6 months. Like last year everyone's going on about Root equaling the record for most test tons in a calendar year, and that was 6.
Hold my bear, mate.
Bairstow's got 6 in 6 months. I personally I want it to succeed because I mean, like I imagine things have changed a lot since when I first went over to the UK, and it's not just the UK. It's like I said, it's older people in general. Like it's the old school. I mean, they've been playing Test cricket for years. Like get a stride in, play the percentages, that sort of stuff. And I remember like I went over to play with you guys in 2015, and I was obviously probably more aggressive than most, and it was there was a couple of raised eyebrows from from the older generation, particularly when it failed.
Yeah.
But now we've got the England captain charging every second ball. He's probably more aggressive than I've ever been. Like how like has it changed much? What's the mentality like as an English fan nowadays?
I think the one day sort of. I think you still got to thank sort of Morgan for all this as well. I think it's just feeding off the back of it.
Yeah.
It's just it's a very English thing. I think Baz said it. Can't remember exactly what he said, but just sort of mentality wise, to just kind of expect the worst, or just like always think that you're going to lose. Which I feel like a lot of the times why there's so many like South Africans and now New Zealanders involved in like captaincy and like leadership roles within the ECB, because it just gives that slightly more refreshing perspective of it. But people are just more excited to watch it now.
Yeah.
Like I love my cricket, but watching England sometimes I can't even bother today. I'll go watch this or do that. Like now it's like, yeah, I'm definitely watching. And even when we do fail, I think there's obviously, but if when playing like this, there's going to be times when we fail and it's going to look really bad, like really bad.
But that's the thing. It's like it looks bad. It can look bad, but it's like the team was playing the conventional way, the way that you're supposed to play, and they were losing. So it's like, would you rather lose playing in a fun way where everyone's having fun and the crowd and you got crowds, or would you rather lose playing the traditional way?
Oh, 100%. It's still going to be box office. I can't imagine we'll ever bat for the draw again.
I mean, I just want to see how far this goes. Like you've got like I think McCullum said it, like he wants to know how far is too far. And like so they're just gonna keep going and going. And then when it fails, he's gonna be like, yep, there's the line. Let's just move back of that line. So I mean I just want to see where this goes. It's interesting, like you brought up the white ball setup, and that's like a massive point. Like you obviously got Morgan. I did like a tribute to Owen Morgan the other day, and I sort of touched on the fact that like this baseball probably doesn't happen if you didn't already have the white ball set up, and because if you don't have all these guys that can just blast it, do whatever. Like they've changed the white ball game as well. Like you think about when I was digging into it, you've got the highest ODI scores, the top three. England, and then they've happened in the last 5-6 years.
Yeah, it's you couldn't have implemented this sort of when we were struggling sort of right at the start and just switched to this. So I don't know if it's been a planned thing that we were going to eventually head down this route. I wouldn't imagine so. But I want to know how like this got sold to the people, to the fossils making the decisions. To be honest. Like, how did Baz walk into his interview for the job and just be like, what did he say in that moment?
Well, that's a good point, because does this happen if England weren't so bad? Like, if you're not at rock bottom, do you even think about doing this?
No chance.
Probably not, because it's worked out perfectly. It's like the team's so bad, Root's had enough. They've like Rob Key's come in. Because it's obviously like McCullum's come out and said like he got offered the white ball job and he was like, nah, too easy, mate. I want someone else, mate. I want to sink my teeth into this rebel side, but I'll still play white ball cricket, but we'll just do it in whites.
Yeah, still coaching the same, just different kit, different ball.
100%. And sort of just on McCullum, when actually, it's not just McCullum, but when is McCullum going to get his knighthood? And when do New Zealand get compensation for you taking our biggest asset?
Ooh, I reckon he gets the knighthood whenever he wants it. Or actually, when we chase 700 down in a day, you can probably have it then.
I think I've touched about this a couple of pods ago, but I talked about like should New Zealanders be mad because McCullum, because he actually had a say in your white ball setup as well. Like he's obviously good friends with Morgan, and now he's like turning over a new leaf with the English Rebel team. You know, Brendan, you know, you can always come back, mate. Always come back. Always welcome.
Yeah, it's we made the game though, so I reckon we're allowed to just take other people. We've always enjoyed getting foreigners in and making just sort of a little mini World 11. So we'll just keep doing that because we need the help.
KP. I mean, you've got it is like
Strauss. He was all right. Trot went well. Yeah, that was a good top 5.
Have you got what are your best coaches? What are England's best coaches that are actually English?
There's no one that springs to mind with that personality and like that you actually get behind. There's obviously people that are very good cricket coaches, but like you know me, like a lot of the sporting people I like are all they've got that personality as well, and people get behind it. Like Kyrgios going to Wimbledon now is a prime example. He seems to be like a tennisy baseball where it's just entertainment and box office. Like, if you focus on that, like, don't know if it's the best thing to focus on in a test match. Just 5 days to try and be box office the whole time, but it's working.
But I don't mind. It's a good point you're bringing up about like entertainment, and I think McCullum had pointed out that like they're not just in the cricket test business. They're in the entertainment business. They want to entertain. They want to, and he did say like he that's probably one of the reasons he wanted England to do it because like he couldn't do this with New Zealand. Like we get like bloody 200 people to a test match. Like it had to be England. Look, the crowds are like unbelievable. Like it actually looks like a party. Like test cricket in the UK, in my opinion, is like the pinnacle. Like you always have the best but the best test matches are always there, and it's just like you said, it's 5 days of box office.
Yeah, so good. What they've been doing on the last day, I reckon, has been helping as well. I don't know if you've seen from over there, but they did it here and at the last. I think every test bar the Lords one, they've made the last day free. It's good for obviously. There's always this fear that Test cricket's going to die, so making it free means that people will probably seen it on the news or seen a little bit of it and go down and watch cricket for the first time because now the press and media are making it out over here anyway to be this new exciting thing. So it's probably going to be really good for getting new people into cricket as well. A bit sort of 2005 or 2009 in a way.
Yeah, that's a good point, eh? I do think that the free ticket things are pretty cool because it didn't start good because obviously you had the Lord's Test, and there was a bit of chat around the price of those tickets, and I think Stokes. No, that's quite outrageous to be honest. But I think Stokes had condemned it, and I don't know if that's changed a lot, but it would be interesting to see if this affects like the grassroots. And I don't know, like I mean, you've been playing like club cricket. What's it been like? Has there been many people like just charging all the time, being like, our captain does this, it's okay, or doing like reverse laps like Joe Root, who, by the way, I'm pretty sure every time he does that shot, he hits it for 6, which is ridiculous.
I'd love to see the sort of strike rate and average there. To be fair, there is, before I answer your question, there is one thing that I want to mention on that shot that he does. Yeah. So obviously Pant did it last time we were over here to Jimmy.
Yeah.
I think it would have been full Baz ball. Like Root's not quite there yet. He's still got a little bit of the old way in it because he just didn't back himself to do it to Bumrah. Do it to their best bowler. Did it to ours. Be better than Pant. Because I reckon at the minute on that shot, it's still 1-0 Pant.
Well, he's done it he does do it when he's in. Like he's normally on 100. It's not like he's.
Yeah.
It would be like I'm pretty sure Pant would have done it like with a new ball, like probably
25.
games in the balance.
60 for
like,
free.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Have you noticed much at the grassroots?
I think it's been around for a while because obviously the 1 day game. But I think the thing that's really exciting to see, and like I'm captain at my club now, so I'll be watching the England games and like putting inspirational stuff into the first team group chat. But I think it's just like probably bar Stokes, everyone's showing like really sort of control this aggression, which is a
Yeah,
really sort of hard point to reach in terms of like decision making and just be like, especially if you're charging someone like a seamer and then you decide, no, I'll pull out, or yeah, I'll still go, and like to make all those decisions so quickly. It's what we're trying to work on more in training now. I did spend a lot of time last night charging seamers, and it felt fun. Which
just like
again,
Stokes does it.
it's very McCullum as well. He used to love a charge.
Yeah, that's probably what that's actually why I used to do it. To be fair, that's how I started doing it. And you're right, like it's knowing like they're the best players in the world. They like when you're on the outside looking in, it looks like they're just being reckless. They're just going, I'm going to charge everything.
Yeah.
But like they know there's sort of like gears that they go up and down, and there's a little bit of theory to the madness, and that's why they are the best in the world, and we are just club cricketers battling away.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's going to be because it's like, I don't know if you follow a lot of basketball or not, but there was an influx on like 3-pointers from like a guy like Steph Curry who like shoots threes all the time, and they reckon like they always have him on that he ruined the game because like at the grassroots or when little kids like you just got all these kids like jacking up 3-pointers all over the place, like playing this like ridiculous style because of this one guy. Whereas it could be similar to like Root, Root Stokes. Like all these little kids are going to come out. They're going to do reverses. They're going to do.
I think you already see it. To be fair, now like every time we sort of seem to play a team and they've got say they've got a talented bat that's probably like 16, 17. They've got a lot of like they do have a lot of these shots. They are very 360 in general. So I reckon it is already making that little bit of an impact. But even I guess my age, so I'm what 23.
Yeah.
A lot of the boys sort of my level are still my age have sort of either got sort of a ramp or can do like a little reverse or just a little thing like that. Maybe we've got one of them, and maybe now the next generation, because it's all they're seeing, it'll be a pretty standard to have a ramp and have a reverse, especially. I think I saw a tweet just after the game yesterday saying that when Jadeja was warming up, Lees was shadow batting slog sweeps and reverse sweeps. And it's the reverse sweep. That just seems like such a normal and easy shot for people. So it wouldn't surprise me if that plans down as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's such a good point because obviously I'm a little older than you, so I'm 30, so I can remember like when I was growing up, it was like everything was outcome based. Like if you hit it for 4, people loved it. If it didn't like it. It was like. But as I got older, I remember I didn't learn how to reverse sweep until I probably left school, because like it was just what are you doing? That's playing the V, get a stride in. That was it. So like it's a good point where you've got like kids just probably in the womb like doing reverse scoops and things like that. I've got a wee nipper. I've got a wee nipper at the moment. I might get the bat out. I might just get a wee scoop in, just sort of work on those things early.
Yeah,
this is what it's come to.
Basics, right? What's the basics now?
Oh,
just hitting it hard in a direction. I reckon.
Well, that's it. I mean, that's what cricket's about, and like we've talked a lot in the past about like, enjoying your game, and most of the time, it's more fun like hitting the ball hard, scoring runs, rather than protecting your wicket. Obviously, if you're in the change rooms, like that's no fun either. But I know I would prefer to go out playing a big shot than going out playing a defensive shot. That's just me.
Yeah, it's mentality at so many levels. Cricket, like it's a very simple game played by idiots. It's something we've got up in my club, and it makes sense. It's real tough, but yeah, I think especially I do a lot of coaching as well. So it's probably nice to get your perspective on it from a coaching point. I feel like the way I like to do it in terms of there's obviously real basics that you work on, especially with batting technique. But I guess a lot of what I want people to be doing is just hitting the ball hard and figuring out how to hit it. Something I really struggled with when I coached a lot of the girls. They want to be all like nice and pretty in their technique, but don't really hit it. What are your thoughts on sort of comparing the figuring out how to hit the ball, the sort of the obviously elbow high and everything like that?
Yeah, I mean it's a good question, and there's always a balancing act between technique and hitting the ball hard and having fun. Because obviously, the reality is if you score runs or you take wickets, you're going to have more fun than you don't. But there's a way of doing it, and my theory has always been I've always wanted kids to play for as long as they can play. Like I don't want kids burning out playing in a way that they don't enjoy, and then 5-10 years down the track they give it up because they want to go to the beach, they want to hang out with their mates. I want them to enjoy the game, and personally, and everyone plays differently, but the way I found that I enjoyed the game was when I could hit the ball hard, when I could hit sixes, when I could play in a way that I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it as well. So, I want people to be able to hit the ball hard if that's their game, if that suits them. If they don't, that's fine. As long as they enjoy the way they play, that should be how I think it should be coached. And, I always try and give them a way of hitting the ball hard, because once they know how to hit the ball hard, they probably want to keep doing that. But they have to want to do it, of course.
No, good. Interesting,
Yeah.
mate.
That's a good way. We'll leave you with that. I've taken up a little bit more of your time than I promised, but I do appreciate you stopping by. It's been an entertaining chat. It's been good to get a perspective from the English in an exciting time. So good chatting with you, and we'll talk soon.
No, perfect. Yeah, it's just exciting to support the best test team in the world, mate. Yeah. Real
Mate,
good. I'll catch up with you soon, buddy.
Mate, you know what? I won't even pop your bottle. But no, it's good to hear from you, and we'll catch up soon, eh?
Yeah, perfect, man.
Righto, this week we've got Jacko and Lugsy back for Is This Cricket and Coach Corner. But first, we just want to touch on Test cricket as a whole, and who, there's been a lot of, I guess, hype around the current England setup, the Bazball, and I don't want to dampen them down too much because it's pretty exciting that they are winning games and in an exciting way. But I just want to actually have a look to see who is the best Test team in the world. But first of all, boys, how are we doing?
Yep, no, going well. On the other side of the world at the moment. So here, sort of with the England series during the day, which is a much nicer way to watch it. But definitely fizzing up over here for the English team, that's for sure.
Yeah, very good, mate. Just here in Dunners. Pretty relaxed sort of weekend and firing up for the All Blacks this week. So all good on this end, mate.
Yeah, hopefully the boys can go 2 in a row. Nice. And obviously, just a precursor, we are taping this before the last day of England India, so we're gonna assume that they're probably gonna win this, but if they don't, we'll look silly for right now. But that's all right.
You'll look silly, mate.
Yeah, no, I'll look silly, but that's all right. So if we just here, I think there's probably 5 contenders. They're the top 5. So you obviously we'll start with our heart, the Blackcaps, reigning Test champions, 4th on the ladder at the moment. However, they drew at home to Bangladesh and South Africa. They got smoked by Bazball and got pumped away to India. Then you got India, Test champions, runner-up, 2nd on the rankings, unbeatable at home, and I mean unbeatable. They're also unbeatable in Australia. They are about to lose in England. They can't beat New Zealand outside of India, and they lost away to South Africa. Speaking of South Africa, they are 3rd on the ICC rankings. Bit of a new era, if you will, with a few guys leaving. They drew away to New Zealand, which is nice. They bet India at home. We'll probably be able to see where they are at when they travel to Australia in our summer, and then they're playing England in July. So it'll be interesting to see where they are at when they play those 2 teams. England, as we've spoken before, they are 5th in the world at the moment, but they're also unbeaten, hopefully, in baseball era. They beat the world Test champions 3-0. They possibly have been in India, but before that, 1 win in 17 tests, including a 4-0 drubbing away in Australia. And the last one, I think, number 1 in the world at the moment, Australia, unbeatable at home unless they are playing India, or they're playing India B, or they're playing India C. However, they did beat Pakistan away, and they have just beaten Sri Lanka away in very foreign conditions. I'm talking it's spinning sideways. So, after setting the table for you fellas, who do you guys have at top of the tree?
Yeah, I mean there's a lot to compact there. I think the biggest thing is it's probably the most even it's been in a while, sort of Test cricket. I think you'll touch on them as well, Munter, but I think give me Aussie at this stage. With Usman sort of shoring up their opening spot with next to David Warner, I think they've got the batting, they've got the bowling, they've got the spinner, they've got the sort of heir apparent to Test cricket and Cameron Green. So hard to look past the Aussies. The heart wants to tell me it's New Zealand, but yeah, I think Test cricket's becoming very even, and this World Test Championship sort of freshen things up. Who knows where baseball's going to go? It seems to be like off to the moon at the moment. But hell, if England get their real quicks back, they could really start pushing this Aussie side. But yeah, for me, I'll hold with Aussie at the moment. But yeah, as you said, India A through C can beat them at home, so maybe it's India.
Yeah, I think sadly for right now, we probably New Zealand, based on our home summer and this series in England, are probably the team that's fallen the most since the Test Championship victory. India, Aussie are probably still the top 2 for me right now, despite India potentially going to lose this Test, but we'll see what happens tonight. A couple of early wickets could change things. England's obviously sort of, if this was Love Island, they've sort of entered late and came in and really turned some heads here. Looking particularly good now. Yeah, so they've came in as the hot new side, and you can't pick them just yet as the world's best team. They are playing at home, of course, but definitely the most exciting. If we do this in a year, they could well be the team. But I think, as you're right, I think we're all in agreement, sort of Australia are the best team in the world right now. South Africa are always sort of there or thereabouts, aren't they? You never take them lightly, and a pretty good victory over here. So it is, I think Jacko's point that it is probably the most balanced it's been in a long time. But I'll still go Australia. India as the top 2 anyway.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I think I do like the way you sort of laid it out. So if England are this hot Love Island entrance is like, so South Africa's like a young and up and coming. So we're talking like someone that's like quite young in the show. We're talking like an 18, 19, right? Yeah, okay. And we've got, I'm with you now. And like, so India and Australia, like, you know how you got those power couples that just
they're
strong from
the
start. Yeah, I got you.
But England's certainly coming in to break those couples up. I'll tell you that.
And like touching on it, because I'll probably go. It's weird because I think it's Australia, but then the big elephant in the room is no one can beat India and India, and India can beat Australia and Australia. But obviously, so it's weird. But for some reason, I do think it's Australia. And one of the reasons I sort of thought that was just how they went in that last Test against Sri Lanka. So I think they got absolutely pumped the last time they went there in 2016. And this time, they've absolutely demolished Sri Lanka. Like, to be fair, not a great Sri Lankan team. But we're talking, this is very foreign conditions. It's spinning absolutely sideways. Nathan Lyon's taken 9 for... We've got a guy like Cameron Green, what is he, like 21, 22? He's got 70-odd in, like, very tough conditions, and they've absolutely pantsed them. And they've got, I think you touched on it before, Jacko, about Khawaja. So once you add Khawaja, and then you've got, if Cameron Green gets better and Travis Head gets better, Alex Carey gets better, suddenly that batting lineup looks very formidable. And that's like without Smith probably not playing as well as he could, which is the scary thing. And they've got like probably the best seam attack, and then Nathan Lyon. So think the other thing I found weird is I find it weird being a Kiwi is I'm actually liking this Aussie team, and I don't know if I'm the only one, but it's just something about the way they play. Like they're not in your face anymore. They're just like good blokes. I can't put my finger on it. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
They've actually got some guys to root for now, which is they've never had in the past. You've sort of always they've been the big brother over the ditch that you didn't like, and sort of there was blokes in their teams that you just didn't like, and they were sort of that sort of niggly team that no one liked. But I think now they've got some of those like redeeming storylines that guys are loving and guys can get behind.
Yeah, I mean, this has probably made me unpopular with some people for a long time, but I've always liked Aussie sides. Just growing up, loving rugby league. I always liked, your James O'Connors, your Quade Coopers when everyone hated them. Nathan Bracken, obviously. I've always just had a wee soft spot for Aussie sides.
I've never imagined like Quade Cooper and Nathan Bracken in the same sort of like sort of bracket there.
Sort of bloke. But I mean, I had a Wallabies rugby training top when I was a youngster. Like I've always had a soft spot for the Aussies.
It's hard not to respect them at least, but it's sort of like I've always respected them, like especially when you talk about the greats, the Warren McGraths, etc. But now it's like I enjoy watching them play because it's just the way they play.
Still no team I'd rather beat, but when they're playing other teams, I tend to enjoy their cricket and enjoy their side. So it is actually a credit probably to both Aussie and India, that they're probably their best two players aren't necessarily firing exactly where you'd want them to be, and they are still probably the two best sides in the world. Kohli's he's 13 months pregnant. He's that overdue at the moment. So if he can actually, if he can sort of get back into the form where he once was, they'll be devastating again.
And for Aussie, to be fair, it doesn't seem that Labuschagne is in the sort of form he once was either. So I mean, they've sort of got their big two not firing as they were. So they get those two come into form at the right time, and that Aussie side will be very hard to beat. But as you said, can't win in India, so who knows? Well, India may if Kohli gets going, India with Rishabh Pant, and I mean their seamers look dangerous at the moment. So that Indian team, if Kohli gets going, it could be a hell of a one-off Test match for the World Test Championship.
Yeah, that'd be quite exciting. Those two teams going in. I think it probably is going to be India, Australia, and I can imagine it being very, very hostile, which would be great. Great for the neutral, anyway.
Do you know where that test is? The final this time?
I don't know. I don't know if it's confirmed. I have a feeling it's Lords.
That would be cool.
Because I don't know, man. It's just I reckon if I could have every test in the UK, I would.
Yeah.
It just seems to bring out the best cricket. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, and I mean, it'd be lovely to have two non-English teams, playing there, because as I've always said, it would be a great spectacle to have sort of two away teams playing in foreign conditions for Test cricket.
Yeah, and there'd be a bit of a story. I think Australia would definitely have a point to prove, having been pantsed by them in India. So that'd be quite interesting, actually. Okay, we'll move on to Is This Cricket? Still no sponsor as of yet. So, if you're keen to get amongst, DM the boys, whatever. I don't have too many follow-ups from last week's pod. I didn't get anything up on the socials this week. Was fraction busy covering the two tests, so apologies for that. We'll get something up this week. I did have one follow-up, and it's from the England-India test that's just been, and it's to do with a recent pod, and I had a sort of a question for you boys. Do you think many people cheered or clapped when Stuart Broad bowled 5 wides in the middle of that world record expensive over?
Ooh. So no, apparently it was very loud, and it almost felt like there was a large Indian contingent in the crowd. So, I mean, they're very hard up their team, and any runs they get in, they're probably sort of starting to fizz for. Probably, I mean, it was early-ish in the over, so maybe it didn't get the applause it deserved. But yeah, I mean, if that's ball 6-7 of the over, that's getting sort of standing ovation from the crowd, I reckon.
Yeah, I'm assuming there must have been a fair bit of noise from that Indian crowd because they'll clap anything, and full credit to them.
Yeah, I do feel like the crowd gets a bit of a pass where they can cheer pretty much whatever they want in terms of runs.
Oh yeah,
But I did see towards the end of that over, like I did see like Coley and a lot of those players. They were on the balcony. They were like cackling, like towards Bumrah, just on all fours, hitting Stuart Broads all parts. Like Coley gets caught into it. Eh?
Coley's got a bit of that about him. Like sometimes he feels like he is. Well, I mean, obviously not in the form he's in now, but sometimes he almost seems so good. He actually laughs at players, like really embarrassed to be out there with them.
Yeah. So Jacko, you're on the clock this week.
Yep.
So I'll let you take over.
Yeah, well, funnily enough, it was actually that over we've just talked about that sort of brought this to my mind, and it's stemming from an age-old debate in cricket, which is, so we're talking your white-coloured kit versus the cream-coloured kit, which is probably a rabbit hole maybe for another day. But in terms of is this cricket, was the mixing and matching of the creams and the whites,
It's not great.
pant and t-shirt option with maybe the creamiest vest of all time. And Bumrah's pads were also like dangerously cream to pair with a white pant. So I guess the question for you is not the creams versus whites per se, but and how does that look, and how do you feel about the mixing of the two?
I guess like the short answer and also the long answer is no. You can't. But like I'm trying to think. I don't know if there's an actual argument where you can. It's probably more like an explanation on why it is, because it probably just stems down to, let's be real. Like cricketers are pretty weird humans, and I think we've all got a wee dose of like OCD. We like everything matching. Everyone liked having like the same brand for all their kits. Like if you weren't sponsored, you like having everything the same. Like looking good almost is just as important as actually doing well. And if your clothes aren't matching, like that's a bit of a cross. So for an international side, the richest team in world cricket right now, to not be able to navigate that, it's concerning. Very concerning in my book.
It is concerning.
And yeah, well, obviously, I think we're all on the same path here. Going rogue with the cream vest is interesting. I feel like England have quite a crispy vest, I reckon.
Yeah, so England's got the full whites, but their vest is sort of white as well, so it matches in.
Yeah.
Just that stark sort of cream against the white, just quite something to look at on the telly.
Yeah. What's also interesting is, as a friend of ours brought up recently, is this has actually made it into the mainstream. This sort of style, this cricket vest style of clothing. Girls are actually paying a bit of a premium to wear this sort of top now, which is quite cool. Because I've just dug out obviously a couple out of the cricket kit, covered up the sticker and whacked them on Trade Me and got a bit of a pretty penny. So it is. On a side note, it is nice to see that it came into fashion. But on the cricket field, I think obviously we're sticking pretty on the one colour all the way.
It's interesting you say that about the vest thing, because we Harvey, my boy, he's actually got a wee vest, but it's not a vest. But I've claimed it as a vest, and it's just baby clothing, but it looks very much like a vest. So I might just get a wee engraving or something like that. Put a wee fern on it, sort of thing.
Yeah. Maximum Cricket Podcast logo on there, maybe.
Chuck a wee logo. Off to daycare, yeah. Tell your friends.
What do you guys sort of with one-day cricket use? A bit different with the one-dayers, obviously. They can change a wee bit the colours.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the all yellow or for Aussie, and would you like the vest to be the same there, or?
Oh, that's a good one. Because obviously you probably get a little more leeway with a one-day kit.
Yeah, there's a bit more rogue, is there?
For obvious reasons, but it definitely looks better if it's like the same colour as the top.
Yeah, I think it's going to be
Like-
the same design as the top, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's where I would be with that. But because I guess that sort of flows on to like coloured gloves, obviously coloured pads. Like you can't be. To be fair, didn't seem that long ago that we were allowing white pads with coloured clothing in club cricket.
Yeah, is that I mean, it's been a while since I've played club cricket. Is that an absolute no-no now, or?
It is
Huge. No.
Yeah,
Right,
massively.
yeah,
But it wasn't.
lovely,
You're right,
lovely.
Simon. It was not that long ago. It was okay. It was more just people didn't have coloured pads. But now
Yeah.
it's like no.
Like we've got a real bunny if he comes out and if he's got the promotion from third grade with shorter players sort of situation.
Got his white pads on, out he pops.
COVID's hit the club hard. We've got the freezing.
Well, because then you start talking about like white. Like coloured shoes. Where are you at with that, Jacko? With coloured shoes, like what are the stipulations? Do you reckon?
Oh, I mean, you've just got to have your base colour as white for your spikes. In my mind, I think, yeah. There's very few blokes that can pull a coloured spike off. They've got to sort of be running the franchise cricket circuit, and sort of be dominating that to sort of run a coloured spike. To be honest, I think same with your gloves. Your spikes have that same sort of colour rule set of mainly white, bit of colour in there for your sponsor, but you've got to have the main colour white for your spikes.
Especially like the old bloke would go like black shoes, white pants, decoration cricket.
And that's
wow.
I don't think anyone. I mean, I don't have the stats behind me, but I would imagine that a person running that combo averages like 50 with the ball and like 5 with the bat. Like, there's no way that they're.
You're right. I did. Yeah.
But like there are some good critters like Lockie Ferguson. He famously runs the black shoes.
Yeah, the black shoe. Yeah.
But
he also runs
he's
the 69 on the back, so he's a rogue.
Yeah.
Bit of a rare unit. But when you're bowling 150 plus,
you can do what you want.
Yeah, that's basically it. You can do what you like at that pace.
I mean, anyone chips you and you just bowl 155 times. Lights out, isn't it? So
it is funny though. It does seem to be like more rules at like a lesser level, like for some reason. Like at the international level, people seem to be able to wear what they want, and I can't imagine. Like, do you think like obviously Coley and Bester had their wee spat? Is there any way that's about kit? Probably not.
There's a lot. The least talented you are, the sort of more you've got to distract from that. So we're sort of just, I think, pulling everything else into the game to sort of hide the fact we're not doing that well.
Yeah, I mean, anything to detract from the main fix to your problems is actually probably just trying to get a bit better. Like, as long as you can get kit in order, and you want to actually take as little of steps to look better as you can.
Instead of training hard, let me just go to Otago Sports Depot and get my kit sorted first, and then we'll go for that next step if that fails.
Yeah, definitely. And also, instead of me getting better, let me bring anyone down whose kit doesn't.
Well, that's half a cricketer, isn't it? You bring instead of getting better, it's easier to bring someone down.
Yeah, 100%.
It's a lot funner too.
To quote Homer J. Simpson, with the extravagant kit like the gloves and things like that, you've got to be quite a confident person because you are immediately going to stand out. So you either got to be quite thick-skinned, or you got to be really good, because that's what I reckon everyone likes, like a real nice streamlined kit, because you don't want to stand out. You just want to, especially if you're not good, you just want to sort of stick behind the scenes, go in there, get your 7 off 12, nick off, move on.
Yeah.
Maybe you get an over, maybe you don't. You don't want to add to your woes by getting sledged with your coloured gloves or your coloured shoes or something like that. You just want to move on.
Yeah, 100%. 100% agree.
Yeah, it's like when a kid a few years ago came out for Woodworm and everyone, here's Kevin Peterson, here he is. Oh, Jesus.
Top bat, the Woodworm, actually.
How many of those bats got used after that 2005 Ashes?
I mean, the flash in the pan for that brand. I mean, they weren't sustainable, but geez, they would have had a good sort of financial 1 or 2 years there.
Just didn't really build from that, did they?
No,
What
no, they
happened
don't.
there?
Yeah, I think they still float around, but I don't think they're sort of anywhere close to what they were. That's it from me on that. I just wanted to sort of bring that up and discussion on it because, yeah, I mean, MPL, that sponsor really just needs to address that in their sort of planning stages from here on out.
Oh, there's simply no excuse for a big corporation like BCCI to not sort that out.
Plenty more to discuss on kit itself, but we'll leave it at that on that one.
Yeah, we could probably do a wee kit segment in the future.
Yeah, could definitely take some submissions from our award-winning listeners of if they what kit sort of queries they want us to solve for them.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
How good are award-winning listeners?
Yeah, quite something.
It's actually a sort of a rogue one. It just goes the other way.
The pod's very poor, but the listeners are brilliant.
Oh, very good.
Very good. Righto. Okay, we'll move on to Coach Corner and
Starting today, you will play like winners, act like winners, and most importantly, you will be winners. If you listen and learn, you will win basketball games. And gentlemen, winning in here is the key to winning out there.
I didn't reach out as much this week, but this is a question from the other week, and it's obviously after New Zealand got thumped by the Globetrotters of Test Cricket England 3-0. It's Sam _SR 7787. He's asked, where do New Zealand go from here? And it's quite a generic question, and I don't want to go on and on about New Zealand because I sort of have touched on that a lot. But there was one question I wanted to ask you boys. If you can think about any issues that you think New Zealand cricket have right now that needs addressing, and you can fix it by changing one thing, and it can be anything you want. You can bring in any player, any coach. You can change anything you want. Money's not an obstacle. Nothing is an obstacle. What would that one thing be?
Sort of discuss it a little bit in the pre-show, but it'd be very tempting to sort of force Ben Stokes to play where he was born.
It's just forcing
very
him.
tempting. Yeah, like sorry, mate. I know you grew up in England and you've got like the English Lions tattooed on your shoulder, but yeah, you're just coming over here.
It's like one of those loans from like football. It's like we're just calling them back in.
Yeah. Look, like it's time to come home, embrace it, be a Kiwi again. Thanks. But yeah, potentially, I mean, throw all the money at Brendan McCullum. Bazball seems to be the way of the future, and bring him home.
Bring Bears home. I like that. Lugsy?
Yeah, not bad. Yeah. Full disclosure to the listeners, Munter's warned us about this question 5 minutes before the show, and it's a pretty loaded sort of a question. So initially, I was thinking, what could we do surrounding sort of developing some spinners in the country, and then my next thing was just, hey, what can we do to develop some flex? And then since you said no money's an object or anything like that, obviously let's just sort of the whole development around our game in the country is obviously what I would address the most. Just if we can get just in all the big regions some better practice facilities, just get specialists from around the world and sort of develop those spin, the pace, and try and get the most sort of balanced side we can for all conditions, which I think's what's probably separating Aussie and India at the moment, is how they can seem to go to most conditions and do a job. So I think a huge overhaul of the whole development of our game in the country would be the biggest thing to go for me.
I'll tell you what, for someone that's only had 5 minutes prep, that's probably the best answer and the most sensible answer that any of us are going to give. Because when I'm thinking about my two, I've got like a rogue one like Ben Stokes, except mine was like, if I could convince Ravi Jadeja to move to New Zealand, complete his residency, and become our new spin bowling all rounder, I just think that would solve everything. I know you're sick of being behind Ravi Ashwin's shadow. How about you just become our front man?
Yeah.
But okay, and
like
then maybe one that's less, maybe a little bit more realistic, but probably not because of money, is Jacko, you touched on throw the money at Brendan McCullum. I reckon there's one guy even better. I'd throw all the money at Stephen Fleming.
Yes, interesting.
That's who I'd throw the money at.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I do think, I know money's obviously a big part of it, but I'm sure there is a desire in there somewhere for him to lead the country again.
Well, that's the thing, eh? It's probably not just the money, is it? It's probably the freedom.
Yeah,
That's
Definitely a lot. I think it's definitely a lifestyle thing because I mean, you play. Oh, he would coach what the IPL and the Big Bash, and he's looking at sort of 5 months work a year. But I think you take on that Blackcaps role, and you're just looking at sort of 10 days in your own bed a year, which is, I mean, tough, very tough.
That is tough. I guess maybe he's like Stephen. If you're listening, I know you are. Like you've just seen Baz McCullum do wonders for England. Imagine what you could do for New Zealand. Just think about that.
How do you sort of think he would sort of approach it? He's more of a methodical sort of a character. He comes across that way than Baz. Probably maybe more traditional in a way. It'd be interesting to see how he coaches the side.
Well, I guess he was like Baz before Baz. Like it's funny because we talked about England, New Zealand. It's like Brendan McCullum was like our father, and he like knew what we were going to do. Well, Stephen Fleming's like Brendan McCullum's father, and he's one step ahead of him. So it's we're just going to keep going around that. Like that's how I think it plays out. I think he's like, because every interview I've ever listened to that's talked about Stephen Fleming has always been glowing. And to be fair, like no one's going to say bad words, but a lot of people go out of their way to say how good of a coach he is, and they always talk about his man management skills. And I think that's sort of what we need. And
I mean, I tell you what, it wasn't always glowing for him either in his career. He was another one of those guys that was pretty under the pump all the time during his career. Always known as a great captain, though, and I guess that's where his leadership as a coach has stemmed from.
Well, that's it. Even like the old late great Warney, he would always people would ask him who the best captain is, and he would always say like Stephen Fleming, and that's big praise, considering that New Zealand team wasn't great. Like let's be real, and this New Zealand team would be better than that team. So to have that sort of praise, like he must be doing something right.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thanks again, fellas, for joining us, and I hope you guys have a good week.
Thanks, Munter. Always a pleasure.
All good, mate. Enjoy the holiday.
That is us for another week. Thank you to Skade, thank you to Lugsy and Jacko, and thank you to our award-winning listeners for tuning into the show. If you enjoyed this episode or any others, please do give us a rating and review. It helps a lot. If you want more, please check out the Patreon at patreon.com/maximumcricket. We have been doing daily reviews on the English Test Summer. Next week's pod will be delayed until Monday the 18th of July as I am going on holiday with the family. So a slight delay, but hopefully we can stick to that Monday schedule after that. Until then, enjoy your week and we will see you next time.
Spank Maximum, the first of this contest. Oh, that is brilliant. The Hero Maximum.